Hello and welcome back to the Uncomplicated podcast. In case you're new here, my name is Bex and I am the founder of Bloom by Bex and the Uncomplicated podcast. I am both recording this to upload to Spotify and wherever else you get your podcast, and I'm also filming for YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you jump in the comments and say hi. Same with Spotify. A 5-star rating would go a long way. Welcome back to another episode of the Uncomplicated podcast. Thank you so much for coming back. To those that are either new or returning listeners after my 8-month long hiatus, I appreciate you for letting me back into your lives and into your ear holes and into your work commute or your walk or whatever it is you're doing while you're listening to this podcast. Grab yourself a beveragino if possible. I have my favorite at the moment, which is Monster Energy Ultra Fantasy Ruby Red, sugar-free, of course. Controversial opinion, I'm not a coffee drinker. I know. I thought one day I might grow into it. I might decide I like it at age 30. I'm 30 this year and it hasn't happened yet. So I'm not holding my breath to become a coffee lover, but that's okay. We're diving into an episode today that I'm actually really excited to just have a yarn about. I've been posting a little bit on social media, both TikTok and Instagram. If you're not following me there, what are you doing? At bloombybex _ on both platforms. About 2026 being the year that I'm just becoming downright fucking delusional. Okay? I'm becoming delusional about how healthy I can be, how active I can be, how much I can love my body, how much I can grow my business, how much impact I can make in the world, how many podcasts I can release, how many posts I can share, how many emails I can send, because I just want to leave behind the self-doubt. I've been in this business a long time. I've been coaching full-time for 5 years, and I've been qualified for, let me look at my certificate, 2017. Nearly 10 years I've been a qualified coach, and I've done so much learning about women's health and personal growth and personal development and weight loss and health and hormones and all of the things that I just completely lost my train of thought. Good start to the episode. Anyway, we're about raw realness here. I'm not pressing pause. I'm not starting again. We're just rolling with it. So this episode, that's right, being delusional about my goals, about how happy I can be, healthy I can be, how much impact I can make in the world. We've circled back. Thank you, ADHD brain. But I want to share a little bit about what being delusional actually is. What does it look like? How do you take the delusional goal that you have, the delusional intention, the thing you want to do, and how do you then almost reverse engineer the actions you need to take to make it happen? So this episode is called Being Delusional is just having standards. Okay. And if you have standards, we're increasing them. We're increasing the standards. We are up leveling this year. And that is part of being a delusional bitch. Okay. So when it comes to I'm going to speak through the lens of health and fitness only in this episode, because that's what I want to talk about. But you can be and have delusional goals in all areas of your life. Maybe you want to make $100,000 this year. Maybe you want to go on 3 overseas trips this year and you don't know how it's going to happen. Maybe you want to, I don't know, buy a Suzuki Jimny because you think they're really cute. Whatever you want to do, you have to have standards and you have to have high standards. The thing about the health and fitness industry and diet culture as a whole is that they love calling women delusional. Probably men too, but mostly what I see is calling women delusional. If someone says they want to lose weight without tracking their food, if someone says they want to feel a sense of peace and freedom around making food decisions, if someone doesn't want to feel restricted around food or feel like making the healthiest choice in a situation is the hardest choice, or they love to call women delusional, woo-woo, whatever it is, when they decide they want to listen to their body and the hunger cues and the fullness cues and the feelings that come up rather than trusting the calories that you've counted on an app, that is downright crazy to diet culture. Okay. That is like a big red flag to diet culture. This lady is a crazy bitch because she wants to decide when she's hungry. Shocking. It's like groundbreaking news. You know, you hear things like, that's completely unrealistic. That's not how weight loss works. It's calories in, calories out. You need to be more disciplined. You need to eat chicken, brown rice, and broccoli for every meal, even though it's giving you the ick, and you would rather just probably eat nothing. But what if they were just mad that you stopped accepting their low standards? What if they're just envious, jealous, annoyed, irritated by the fact that you can achieve your goals and probably to an extent like what they want to achieve for themselves if you can do it in a way that's not miserable? If you can lose weight 5, 10, 15, 20, 70 kilos by actually learning to understand what your body is trying to tell you, reconnect back to what your body is asking you for, and then delivering on that, but they're stuck sticking to an app, having chicken, brown rice, and broccoli, missing out on like wine and cheese night with their friends, not going on any dates during their cut, spending 6 days in the gym, doing 20,000 steps a day. What if they're just mad that they still think they have to do that? And you're over here being Delulu Queen, achieving your goals without none of that. That's the reframe I want you to think about. When you are thinking about the goals you want to achieve and the action steps you need to take to make that happen, it's not actually about how delusional can I be. Maybe the goal seems so far out of reach, but you just have this like innate knowing, like this knowing inside of you that you're like, yeah, it's going to be hard. Yeah, I'm not going to want to do it all the time. Yeah, I'm not going to be perfect because I'm a human. You just raise your standards. You show up when you say you're going to show up, regardless of how you feel. You follow the plan, not follow your mood. Like, you stopped accepting that restriction and guilt and food rules and different diets are just a normal part of life, when in fact they don't have to be. They just have, as society, it's been handed down to us through generations that like Weight Watch, oh sorry, WW, Jenny Craig, if that still exists, the carnivore diet, the keto diet, paleo, anti-inflammatory, like blah, 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 all those things we just accept as normal. But actually, when you think about it, the most normal thing you can do is just eat fucking food. You don't worry that the carrot you're about to eat has slightly higher sugar than the spinach you could have had instead. You don't worry that you had an ice cream after dinner or an ice cream during the day with your kids when you're out and about, because it's just ice cream. It doesn't mean anything about you. It's not a character judgment. It doesn't mean that you will or will not achieve your goals. It's just a fucking ice cream. You know, like those food rules that we have, carbs are bad, sugars are bad, fat, I mean, what is good if you're following those rules? Fats are bad. You shouldn't eat after 6 o'clock. Intermittent fasting is best. Faster cardio works. Like, what if those were the abnormal rules rather than the ones that kind of circulate in the back of your head consistently whenever you're trying to increase your standards? Like, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. But what if actually just chilling the fuck out, listening to when you're hungry, making food decisions that you know are good for you. Like when it comes down to it, right, like strip everything back. And at a basic level, regardless of how much nutrition knowledge that you have, regardless of whether your goal is weight gain, weight loss, body recomposition, just being a healthier person, you know in your logical brain that having a home cooked dinner, whether it's eggs on toast, whether it's an omelette that you whip up, whether it's toast with a side salad, like it doesn't have to be complicated. You know that that is better for you than going through the Macca's drive-through. You don't need a coach to tell you that. You don't need a nutritionist to tell you that. You don't need to be scrolling Instagram to be told that. You know. But somewhere along the way, we've complicated everything. And so people, women especially, because that's who I work with, they get so wrapped up in, I should do this, I shouldn't do that, or I missed that walk, or I didn't eat before 6 a.m., or I ate at 8 p.m. last night. Everything's fucked, everything's ruined. And then they just get in this spiral of like, well, if I'm not doing anything right, fuck it. I'm not doing anything at all. What do you think would happen if you literally just went to basics? You eat fruit, you eat vegetables, you eat some protein in whatever form you like, veggie, vegetarian, meat eater, whatever, and you moved. You went for a walk. You went to the gym. You did aqua jogging. You do pole dancing, you do horse riding, you do hobby horsing. I'm not here to judge your choices, okay? What if you just stripped it right back and then you actually showed up for those things? You actually had the standards in place for yourself that you are being delusional by forgetting all of the external noise. It doesn't matter that your auntie's brother's cousin's sister's wife lost weight doing carnivore for 6 months. That's actually irrelevant to you. Unless you want to do carnivore for 6 months, which I wouldn't recommend. You'll just end up smelling like meat. But what if the delusion was in the simplification? What if you are labeled as delusional and you have these delusional goals, but you actually achieve them because you just take the action that is needed to take? Having standards is about knowing what you will and won't tolerate anymore. And maybe that's you don't tolerate yourself snoozing your alarm 4 times in the morning. Maybe you don't tolerate coming home from work and ordering Uber Eats because you've had a busy day. You can make eggs on toast. Maybe you don't tolerate, maybe you don't tolerate, I just had an example, but it slipped out of my mind. Maybe you don't tolerate showing up to a friend's house and letting them peer pressure you into drinking a bunch of alcohol that you don't really feel like. Like an example of a delusional standard that I'm sure a lot of you can relate to is things like, okay, maybe I don't want to track every bite for the rest of my life. That in this day and age is labeled as delusional. But actually I think that's the most human thing, right? That's the most simple thing. Maybe it's like I won't feel guilty after I eat carbs. Because carbs actually fuel your body. They help with brain function, they help with energy, they help everything. It's a macronutrient for a reason. Maybe your excuse me, maybe your delusional standard is that actually you won't accept suffering as required for weight loss anymore. Because it's not. If you think about like challenges and diets and the different things that people are promoting these days in the health and fitness industry, it's like do this, like follow this meal plan, no off meals. You do 15,000 steps a day, no excuses. You go to the gym 5 to 6 times a week with 2 to 3 cardio sessions, and that will get you your goal. And I'm not arguing that it doesn't work. Of course it works, but you hate it the whole damn time. And after that 6 weeks is up, maybe you lost 6 kilos in 6 weeks, whatever your goal was. What are you going to do after that? Are you going to continue repeating that meal plan with no off meals, going to the gym 5 to 6 times, cardio 2 to 3 times, 15K steps? You're a human being. Nobody can keep up with that. And if that's the baseline that you've set yourself for what a successful weight loss journey looks like, and then you can't go back to that because it's actually unsustainable, what kind of narratives do you think that creates in your head about your ability to be successful, your ability to be consistent, your ability to reach the goal you've set? It's got negative written all over it, right? Like I tracked my food for 15 years, on and off, obviously. And now I don't. I haven't tracked a single calorie since June this year, and it is the most free I have ever felt around food. It is the most amount of trust I've had in myself to make good decisions. I've been to multiple social events. Me and my friends do a girls' night every Thursday, and when I was intentionally in a deficit, even though I wasn't tracking, I was just watching my portion sizes, making good food decisions. You don't have to track to know that you're in a deficit. I would make choices that aligned with me. If it meant taking my own food, I did that. If they're having nachos, I'll have a couple of corn chips on the side and mostly mince and protein. Like it's not about the numbers. It's about how your body feels. It's about the energy that you have. It's about the mental clarity you feel. It's about the sleep quality you're getting. And it's about taking away the pressure of being in or outside an app's recommendation, right? Since I stopped tracking in June, I've lost about 13 kilos and maintained it. I think I put on like 1.5 kilos over Christmas. It's already off over the last 3 days of doing 8,000 steps and just eating 3 regular meals. I did that without tracking a single calorie. Not a single one was tracked, and I did not feel pressure. I did not feel like food noise was overwhelming. I did not feel like I was fighting my brain. I did not feel like I was trying to talk myself out of thinking about food. It just felt simple to the fact that I questioned whether or not it was working because I'm like, why does this feel so easy? Even me, I had an association. Like I've lost and gained 30 kilos twice in my life. And the last two times that I've lost a significant amount of weight, I have fought to lose that weight. I was doing so many steps a day. I was training. I was eating fuck all, which would cause me to binge like 10 days in. And then I'm like, okay, restart, back to it on Monday. And I followed that cycle for 15 years. And now I've lost 12 kilos, 12, 13 kilos, kept it off. I'm now halfway towards my 40 kilo weight loss goal, which I will hit in 2026. Even with a month-long trip to Europe in April, I'm still reaching that goal because all I have to do is go back to the habits and the systems I have in place. All I have to do is go back to listening to my body. All I have to do is go back to moving it and getting outside and really like simplifying and romanticizing the smaller parts of life that people tend to overlook. I have many client results. I'm not going to sit here and rattle them off to you, but so many of my clients have either lost weight coming to me with just like starting intuitive eating. I think I think she lost like 7 or 8 kilos in the first 6 to 8 weeks without tracking a single calorie. She actually said to me, I feel like this is too easy. Bettina, my client, she's lost 70 kilos with me in the last 3 and a bit years. She hasn't tracked a single weekend. She tracks during the week. She doesn't track in the weekend. She's done that her entire time with us together, and she's lost 70 kilos. Like it is actually possible. When you raise your standards versus accept what diet culture's trying to tell you, you become more connected to yourself. You become more connected to what your body actually asks for you to do. When like maybe you get these intuitive nudges, maybe you feel them but you ignore them, you've trained yourself out of recognizing them, your body will actually ask you for food. Your body will ask you to move. Your body will ask you if it needs something from you. But living your life by the app and the diets and the rules, you kind of taught yourself not to listen to that, to ignore those things. Like even from a physiological level, there's a hormone response to being hungry and being full. Leptin and ghrelin, those are the two hormones that are released. Ghrelin when you're hungry, and I always remember that because growling stomach, and leptin when you're full. If you ignore those signals for so long, they will stop being sent. I have had so many conversations with women, and I used to be the same as a recovering diagnosed binge eater. I wouldn't know when I was full. I wouldn't know when I was hungry. I was eating out of habit. I was eating for emotion. I was eating to soothe. I was eating for stimulation. I was eating for comfort. So I stopped being able to recognize when I was actually hungry and when I was full. And now I am so attuned to it. Do I still eat when I'm not hungry? Yeah, sometimes. Do I overeat when I know I'm full? Yeah, sometimes. But I am aware of it and I can notice it. And that's one of the best things that comes out of doing this work. When a client messages me that they felt hungry when they woke up in the morning, I am like, that is amazing. That is such great news to me. It means their metabolism is picking up on what we're doing. They're starting to listen to their bodies again. And when they respond to that time and time again, you build evidence with yourself. And that's just a small piece of the puzzle when it comes to like reconnecting and trusting yourself as a human and then around food. Because the women who are delusional enough to believe that food freedom and peace around food, trust around food is possible, they're the ones that actually go ahead and achieve it. There's a messy middle. Okay, there's always a messy middle. There'll be a few binges, there'll be a few under eatings, there'll be a few I'm fucking hungry, I'm so full. It's a little bit chaotic in the middle. But that's because you are undoing 10, 15, 20, 25, 40 years worth of telling yourself no. I can't be hungry. I've already eaten 3 hours ago. Well, I had a big lunch, so I can't be hungry for dinner. Like all of those little micro thought patterns and responses are so programmed into you that you don't realize you don't have to choose them. You don't have to choose to continue to believe those rules and restrictions and things that were put on you. Maybe it was external environment, maybe it was social media, maybe it was general society, maybe it was the generation you grew up in. Every single one of those has influenced your relationship with food. But the second you decide that that is actually all of that external noise is no longer your burden to carry, your relationship with food is going to increase tenfold. You'll trust yourself more. You'll be reconnected with yourself more. You will understand what hunger and fullness is. You'll understand that your body is actually asking for protein. Your body is actually asking for vegetables. Your body is actually asking for movement. You just stopped listening. And the more we can get that to recalibrate and come back and start to regulate again, the easier achieving your goal feels because the time is going to pass anyway. Whether you choose to start a fad diet now, choose to start a challenge, or choose to try something different, like what I'm telling you about, the time is going to pass. So you can either choose something that you've done before 100 times and it hasn't worked, or you can try something different that is actually based not on a number, but on your specific body, on your hunger, on your lifestyle, on your goals, on the time you have available. Because when you're buying a meal plan, you're buying a challenge, you're tracking your calories, how are you supposed to know what to do with it? After that 6 weeks is finished, like, do you just go back to what you're doing before? It doesn't teach you anything. It's actually not delusional to want sustainable weight loss. It's not delusional to want to feel peace and trust around food. It's not delusional to believe you can lose weight without suffering. Increasing your standards is actually the most sane thing you can do. And yeah, the goal might be crazy and you've reverse engineered 6 steps to get to it, and maybe you get 4 steps ahead. You don't quite get to that big delusional goal. You will next year, and you'll be 2/3 of the way there compared to being none of the way there or worse. So I want to leave you with a couple of questions. They're very thought-provoking questions. And if you feel inclined to answer them, I would love to hear your responses. If you DM me over on Instagram, bloombybex_, your response to these questions. But what standards are you accepting right now that you shouldn't be? And this could be health and fitness related. This could be in your life. This could be anything. What would it look like to get delusional about what's possible for you? And if you're sitting there thinking like, okay, but how do I break that ceiling that I've put on myself? Smash it. Put your arm up, get your Hulk fist on, whatever it is, like throw a ball through the window, smash it with your fist, launch a rocket. I don't care. But that ceiling needs to be broken, even just for 10 minutes of delusion. And the last one is, what if the thing holding you back isn't discipline? It's accepting too little. It's accepting that weight loss has to be miserable. It's accepting that you can't eat carbs to lose weight. It's accepting that you need to be doing 20,000 steps a day and doing any less means you're not worthy of achieving your goal, or whatever story comes up for you. What if that is the reason that is holding you back from achieving your goals rather than your perceived lack of discipline? The thing is, deciding you want better is step one. Smashing through that roof, getting delusional for 10 minutes and thinking about that all the different things that you want to achieve with your life, that's step one. Actually reverse engineering the plan, coming up with the action steps, and then following through on those action steps is where most people get stuck. And that's okay, because unlearning 15, 20, 40 years of diet culture is not something, one, that happens overnight, and two, you have to do alone. Because sometimes you can't see what's outside of you. You aren't able to look at the bigger picture. You aren't able to have an objective opinion because it is so personal to you. And maybe some of these rules and restrictions have been handed down from parents, grandparents, and that doesn't make them bad people. They were probably just trying to help you with the knowledge that they had and the way they best knew how. But like I said before, that doesn't have to be your story anymore. You can choose differently. And I want you to know that if you're ready to stop settling for diet culture standards and actually create peace with food, you want to leave all the external noise behind, Really focus on you, how you're feeling, what your body is doing, how it feels to move, how it feels to be fueled with food. And if you want to stop settling for the low standards, then I can help you. That's exactly what I do with my one-to-one coaching clients. So I would love to know if you feel activated or this podcast resonated for you. Jump onto my Instagram and DM me the word coach, and I would love to see if it would be a good fit for us to work together. This is not a selling podcast. This is not me trying to convince you of anything. It is just telling you about what I do and what I have done for myself and what I have done for my clients and what I could potentially do for you. Amazing. Go be Delulu. Thank you again for allowing me back into your eHealths. I will be back next week with another episode. So in the meantime, I will leave all the links in the show notes for the links that you might need to get in touch. Otherwise, leave me a comment. Let me know if this episode resonated. Let me know if there's anything you can take out of it on Spotify, on YouTube, wherever you're listening or watching. Thank you for allowing me in your space, and I will see you very soon.